Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Stories of Service podcast. I am here with one of my favorite people. I had to put that into a song, Robin Phoenix Johnson. How are you doing?
I'm awesome because I'm with you. Again, it's a reunion. It's the reunion tour.
I know you were on my show, I think about a year and a half ago. You were one of my earlier
Yeah.
guests I think it was even before I got into the 50s. I had you on, so it's awesome to have you back on the
Thank you.
and I can't wait to talk to you more about where you've been. You're one of the few veterans in comedy that I even know of because I still feel like it's such an emerging field. But we'll get into that later. Um, as I always open the show, we will do our intro from my father, Charlie Pickard.
From the moment we're born and lock eyes with our parents, we are inspiring others. By showing up as a vessel of service, we not only help others, we help ourselves. Welcome to S.O.S, Stories of Service, hosted by Teresa Carpenter, here from ordinary people from all walks of life who have transformed their communities by performing extraordinary work.
And I'm just going to go into full screen right now while I read the quick intro about my guest, Robin. Robin Johnson is a combat veteran turned international stand-up comedian, leadership expert, and advocate for the power of humor. With over 20 years of service in the U.S. Army, including 5 combat deployments and command at both company and battalion levels, she has seen the front lines of both war and leadership. And now she continues, as she did in the last show, to bring laughter to the global stage through armed forces entertainment and to boardrooms, through keynote speaking, workshops, and facility roles at institutions like Stanford University, Thayer Leadership, the Institute for Defense and Business. As a certified humor professional, she teaches how humor can be a superpower, enhancing empathy, reducing burnout, and transforming organizational culture. Today, we'll talk about how her unique blend of experience and comedy is helping people and organizations thrive, plus a few laughs about the soccer sidelines, snack rotations, and her ongoing quest to understand how the offsides rule. Welcome again, Robin.
Still don't get it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The
You're
refs
welcome.
love me. The other parents love me.
Well, I think it's like one of those things where like there's so much stuff that probably goes on in the subtext of those types of engagements that you just sort of notice when you're going and you're being a soccer mom or you're doing some of these things in your day-to-day life, and then being able to bring light to that and show what that really looks like, I think is really important.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can take the girl out of the army. You can't take the army out of the girl. So like the other parents are like, go Lindsay, go Mary Grace. And I'm like, get up. I did not pay $5,000 for club soccer for you to whine, take some Motrin.
Right. Because of course that's the cure-all for every problem in the military until you get out and they're like, where's your documentation? Is this in your medical record? Is that your medical record? Oh, well, wait a minute. I was supposed to go and get Motrin this entire time. I wasn't supposed to do anything else. That's what they kept telling me.
They'll give you Motrin to deliver a baby.
Yeah, they will.
Who needs an epidural? Take an 800 milligram Motrin.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and we're not even getting real Motrin. We're getting like the generic.
Right. That is true. So first off, I just want to know a little bit about like what your journey was like for those people who don't quite know your story, how you went from being in the Army, serving all the way up to lieutenant colonel, retiring from the Army, and then getting into comedy. Just tell us a little bit about what that was like for you.
Crazy, because it happened during COVID. I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I always loved comedy. Always loved it. And there was, you had a lot of people giving you advice, sometimes unsolicited when you're going to retire and transition. And some of the advice I got was find the thing that you love and figure out how to make money at it. That's going to be the best happiness for you. Or just take your time. Don't rush into anything. Or the first job you get's probably not going to be the one, but just do something. Or if just there was lots of advice. So basically, I thought about the things that I love to do. And since I really don't want to be a professional champagne drinker, I decided that I really loved and appreciated the art of comedy. And I had loved it since I was about 7. That's when I realized I wanted to be Robin Williams. Back then, like it was more Mendy. I'm kind of dating myself a little bit, the Nanu Nanu. And I really loved the way that I saw people light up when I would perform or make them laugh. And so I thought, you know what, why not? I'm just going to do it for a hobby. So it wasn't not a career ambition. It was truly just going to be a hobby, like yoga, golf, like whatever you do, pickleball. But then I was like, well, I am kind of funny, so maybe this could be a thing. But it took about 2 years. I worked for the Military Women's Memorial for a while. And then I had to make the leap. My mother-in-law, she was diagnosed with cancer, and I was making her laugh and by her side. And she told me that I needed to do it for more people and that it was really helpful to her. And so when she passed away, I resigned from my job and went in full time.
Yeah, that's like such a big leap because so many people, as you said, they just take the advice that they've been told, oh, you should just try something. You just go into a job. And then they get to that job and they're like, it doesn't matter how much money it is. It doesn't matter how prestigious it is. If it's not something you're enjoying doing, you can't do it. And what did you find when you first got into comedy, the veteran landscape for comedians? Did you find that there was a lot of opportunity there? Did you find there were a lot of people doing it? What was it like?
Well, I lived in DC, and so there's probably more of a concentration of veteran comedians in DC for two reasons. One, there's a lot of veterans in DC. Two, Armed Services Arts Partnership is headquartered out of there, and they do a wonderful job of doing a comedy boot camp. And so they produce a lot of veteran comedians or trained in comedy. So it was pretty friendly landscape there, although COVID didn't help a whole lot with the initial start of it. But that's why I created Best Medicine Brigade, because ASAP.org or Armed Services Arts Partnership does the training. But then like once that's done, I wanted to have more still the community of veterans that were sharing opportunities, helping people get stage time. And part of it was to help veterans in comedy just to get work.
Right.
Because we want to get paid, but also because the narrative is always so it's so negative about veteran service. It's, oh, we're broken, we're homeless, we have PTSD. And I wasn't hearing a lot of the funny stories, the good times, the laughs. And I thought that's really missing, and comedy is a great platform for that to be told, that side of the story. And I feel like America needs to hear those stories.
They do. And there's still to this day not very many veterans in entertainment or veterans in the arts. There are. I just recently learned, my friend Amy Forsythe, which I think you know her as well.
Yeah.
She's hosting a Veterans in Entertainment Awards in LA.
What?
Yeah, it's coming up. And
I didn't get an invite. What's the deal?
I will get you some information about later. I just put a comment on her page about it. But my point being is that I know there is a Veterans in Entertainment organization. I've seen it on LinkedIn. But overall, there's
CME,
just,
I think it's called.
Yeah. But overall, there just really isn't a big market or what I could see for that. So when I saw that you had dived into this arena, I was really happy to see that. What was it like your first couple years after COVID or even during COVID, trying to get into comedy clubs and trying to tour and do all the things that you were doing? Because I think if I remember right, you were just embarking on a tour as we did our last show, and you were having a few other comedians. You were organizing like your first tour that you had ever done. So tell me a little bit about how that went and where you went from there.
Well, let's just say the start was really rocky. I mean, when you first start, you go to open mics to practice. You get 3 minutes, maybe 5 if you're lucky. And it's a lot of late nights for very little return. And you do that over and over and over, and you pour so much time into something. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll get on a paid show. What they do first is give you a guest spot, which you don't get paid for, but you get stage time, and you take it. You take every one you can. And then you move up to maybe featuring act, and then eventually to be a headliner. And so it was a little rocky, but what I ended up having to do was just start producing my own shows, because I wasn't getting enough stage time, especially in Charleston, because I moved from DC to Charleston during that time. And so there wasn't a lot of opportunity here. And so I had to start producing my own shows. I'm like, fine, you're not going to give me stage time. I'll give myself stage time. I'm doing a show. I'd hire 2 other comedians, and then I could have as much stage time as I wanted. And that is what led me to be voted Charleston's best comedian. And that put me in front of someone who offered me a tour with the Southern Mama Tour. And then from there, I did that for a year, and I learned so much. I just learned and grew. And then before I knew it, I was getting in front of bigger audiences. So it took about solid 3 years, which is kind of fast actually, but that's a lot, like a lot of hours every week. It gets a full-time job. 40
Right.
hour, it's like a 40-hour week job. Yeah.
But producing your own show, take me back to what that looks like. Does that mean that you would like call comedy clubs and say, "Hey, I've got a fully packaged show. Can I get on during these nights?" I mean, how does one even do that?
Yeah, I didn't do comedy clubs. I went to VFWs, American Legions to start because I saw a need. I'm
Mhm.
a member of Post 3137 VFW here in Isle Palm, South Carolina, and then Post 166 American Legion in Goose Creek. And they're looking for the younger generation of veterans. They want more diversity. They want more women. They are wanting to grow their membership and also to connect with their local community.
Mhm.
And the programming is, like traditional programming. It's some drinking, maybe some
Hot dog
pool.
nights, pool
Yeah.
nights, karaoke.
Yeah. And so offering comedy was a really creative new idea. It was just kind of starting to be a thing in those venues. I'd like to say I was kind of at the forefront of it. There were certainly people who did it before I did, but I mean, I went nationwide with it and did a tour. So I was pretty proud of that. And also was really proud to partner with the American Legion. They sponsored part of our tour. So we got to do that. But it wasn't just about veterans doing comedy. It was also like the healing side of it too. So yeah,
Right.
it's twofold.
And that's what's so cool about your comedy, as I said in the bio, that this isn't just let's go and make people laugh. There is a
Mhm.
side to this that
Yeah.
that you're looking to show that having humor in your life really alleviates a lot of these painful things that we all go through, correct?
Yeah, if you think like a comedian, you will see your world in a different way. I mean, you look at the greats. I mean, I don't know who your favorite comedian is. Who is your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I would say maybe Jim Gaffigan.
Okay, he's a great example because his wife got diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he built this whole bit around it. And that's typically something that would be very sad, very dark, depressing, and yet he was able to find the silver lining. And he does this whole bit about the doctor explaining to him in terms of fruit, like it's the size of a grapefruit or such and such. He's like, did the guy not think I understood centimeters? I mean, it's a brilliant piece. And so if you can rewire and reframe your thinking, like basically cognitive behavioral therapy is essentially it.
Mhm.
If you can do that to write a joke, you can do that for anything. And not just for mental resilience and mental fitness, but also for problem solving. A lot of people are like, oh, that's fluffy mental health stuff. I'm like, no, actually, it will make you better at work. It'll make you a better contributor to solving problems for your team because
Mhm.
you're essentially taking something and you're going, like I just want to see this from the reverse and really pull it apart. And not everybody can do that. I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like the Army stifled my creativity because we got SOPs and we got binders and we got manuals and we were like, okay, you do 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and you follow this process and this is the way. But when you let that framework go a little bit and you give yourself some freedom to explore, you can come up with far better solutions than if you followed a linear process.
So, two people come to mind that do this in
Okay.
the advocacy world that I want to talk about and just give props to, because
Okay.
I see a lot of people who take advocacy to the extreme and they only focus on the bad sides. And instead, they
Mhm.
don't find ways to advocate using a little bit of humor and a little bit of sass. And there's two people who do this really well. The first I want to give props to is Mandy Fight. She's the advocate who's been doing the stuff with the Red Hill. She is
Okay.
the lead plaintiff who just got the award, which the cash award from the federal court in Hawaii, and they did not get as much as they had hoped, and they will
That's for the
appeal.
water contamination, right?
Correct.
That was
But
awful. Yeah.
it's awful. But if you watch her stuff on
I
Instagram,
will.
yeah, please follow her. She does her advocacy in such a way that it's sarcastic, it's witty, I mean, she's taking like these very, very dark topics and very, very horrific experiences. And she'll do the gauntlet of emotions. I mean, she's done some posts where she's crying and she's very, very emotional, but then she also does ones where she's just out doing her political. She lives in DC and she goes to a lot of these Hill meetings and other things. And she's just, I really think, Robin, there's a niche of you bringing comedy to activism, because she does it really well. And Jessica Ruttenberg is another one who does it really well. She is a Air Force retiree who is right now very much fighting this whole DEI issues. And she is very, I mean, because they took away all these provisions for that women who are pregnant now can't fly and other things that I think, to me, distract of what I thought was a good intent of the DEI. But unfortunately, I think some of it is like with the book banning and other things have taken a bad turn, in my view, in my opinion. And so Jessica Ruttenberg is really speaking out on that. She's got wonderful posts on LinkedIn where she profiles different women. So she's definitely somebody else to watch. And I've had Jessica and Mandy both on my podcast. And that's what struck me about both of them, is that they're hilarious. Like the whole time.
You gotta be.
You know, like the whole
stuff
time
they're going after is so dark.
Yeah. Yeah. And both of them are attacking really serious issues, but they do so. Bill Brown is another. I'll have him on my show on Wednesday. He's retired Navy SEAL. He did the march supporting the Pete Hegseth confirmation. It's he will tell you this, and so will Rob Sweetman, who helped him plan it. But it is the largest known that I know of Navy SEAL activist gathering. Like anytime like Navy SEALs has ever
sounds
gathered.
like a party I want to be at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So where do all these people? Does Jessica and Bob, do they live in? I'm going to DC tomorrow. I have to be at the airport at 5 a.m. So
Mandy is in DC. I don't know offhand where Jessica lives.
You have to introduce me to her.
I know.
I can grab a coffee.
I will introduce you. I will go on Instagram and I will do it.
She's like the modern day Erin Brockovich.
She's amazing. She's just a total and complete badass. In fact, I've done a couple reels on her. Oh, I know. I was a little bit afraid to put out my reels that were like kind of we're dissing the Navy. But then once that judgment came out, I said, you know what? I mean, a federal judge has said that the Navy poisoned the families. An IG report has said the Navy has poisoned the families. It is in my off-duty, unofficial capacity that the Navy has apparently poisoned families. So, but she finds a way. But I mean, but she finds a way to try to find the dark humor in all of this, and I really do appreciate what she does. She has. I even said that to somebody the other day. I said she's got that grit and she's got that humor, and that's what I feel makes her successful. So I think that there is such a need for humor.
There is. I did a joke. I was in Hawaii in February on a tour, and I did a joke about the Red Hill since I was there, and I knew it was going to be a sensitive topic, but I was like, wow. I was like, I can tell that they really like me. They even had like this fancy water like delivered to my room. It said Red Hill on it.
Did people laugh?
Yeah, they were like, oh, they laughed. They did definitely laugh. They were like, oh my God. I think they're more like shocked that I would go there, but yeah.
But sometimes it's like you have to go there so that people even look it up, and then they see like what really happened, and they're like, whoa, like how could this have happened? You know? Yeah. So I think it also just gets people talking. So tell me a little bit about how you've also transitioned your comedy now. And you weren't doing this, I don't think, when we last had our show, but tell me how you've transitioned this into boardrooms and into workplaces.
Yeah, the comedy industry is an interesting one. One, it's very saturated. I mean, you can't even throw a stick and not see someone who's an aspiring comedian. And so making it in this industry is so hard. And let's not, lie to ourselves. I'm not a spring chicken, Yeah.
I mean, so true. Like when you're in your 40s and you're like starting a career, you're like, oh yeah, there's these 20-something-year-olds and they're hot. Yeah. And I get it.
Yeah. So Well, okay, but I also want to say on that there are a lot of young comedians who have a lot of potential, but they don't have the stories because they haven't lived life. The one thing
Yeah.
that I may not have years of experience of doing comedy the way they may at my age, but I have a ton of stories. I have 26 years of Army stuff to tell. I've got kids. I've got a husband. Like I have a lot of stuff to talk about. And they just don't. They're just doing these like hacky jokes sometimes because they're just going off of their limited life experience. I think the more life
Sure.
experience you have, the better your comedy is. Okay, off my rant. I realized pretty quickly a couple things about the comedy industry. It's very cutthroat. The likelihood of making it big is very slim, and it's a little bit of a rock and roll lifestyle. It's late nights, it's Friday night, it's double headers Friday, double headers Saturday, maybe a show on Sunday night. So it's like owning a restaurant. You're in the when you're in those kind of businesses, you give up your weekends.
Right.
And as you know, I have two kids, and I just, for the amount of money I was making and the slim possibility of making it, I was like, this is not very fulfilling. I mean, it's fun, but I'm not going to send my kids to get braces in college on it. It's like,
Right.
and then also like you make people laugh and then it's over and it's over. What did I do other than give them a temporary boost of dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin? Like I gave them relief for a moment. I want to give them tools that they can use ongoing. That was more. I want to be more impactful than that. And so the real trigger to switch was when I lost a friend of mine to suicide, and I said, okay, I have to do something to help. And as I started to research, laughter is the best medicine, healing through humor, just Googling, and I found this association through applied and therapeutic humor.
Yeah. Yep. Right there.
And they have a 3-year program to become a certified humor professional. And this is somebody who becomes a subject matter expert in the applied and therapeutic use of humor, as indicated by their name. And it's no joke. It's 3 years, and you have to do a capstone. It's a very big commitment, and it's just this little piece of certificate. It's not even like I got an MBA or a doctorate. I feel like I worked harder on that than I did on my MBA. I will just say, I love you, AATH. Don't ban me, but I'm just saying it's hard. So, we just pour ourselves into our research, our study. Well, my capstone project for my second year of this program was to create a program that helped veterans reframe their thinking when it comes to depression, because Brian had depression, my friend, and the number one cause of suicide is untreated depression. And I may have done this analogy in the last episode, but I'll do it again, is that I had this epiphany that if you were choking on something, that you would cough, you would try to clear your airway, you would give the international sign for choking, and somebody would give you the Heimlich. But if you are choking mentally on negative thoughts, cognitive distortions, negative thought patterns, there's no coughing. I don't know that you are having this issue or you're in distress. You don't have an international sign for I'm mentally in distress, and there's no Heimlich maneuver for the brain. So my hypothesis was that laughter could be a Heimlich for the brain, that we could allow enough positivity and disruption to negative thought patterns by injecting humor and ways to see the world differently through CBT, cognitive behavioral theory, that we could help people choose less harmful behaviors from their depression and their negative thoughts. And so that was the pilot program study. I did the 3rd year, continued researching, working, and then we'll probably get to this part of the interview. And that's when I applied to the Hoover Institution to continue that work.
Wow. That's such
Long
a
story.
wonderful journey. No, I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. I think that it matches so many of my guests' journey into their
Yeah.
passion. Like Randy Suros, I just had him on my show, and he went
yeah.
from he went from being wanting some structure to how he wrote a story. So he read about the story grid, the story grid process, and in a book. And so he said, "Oh, okay, there's this structure to how I should do a story." He took that, put that into his master's thesis. When his master's thesis was presented, they said, "What happened to the second half of your book? It was so well organized." And he's like, well, I use StoryGrid. And then that's like, well, how do I get certified as a StoryGrid person? So then he found out that there was this whole certification process. And then the next thing you know, he goes through the certification process, he goes through the school, and then he gets work from it because he's now an editor that they can draw upon to send business his way. And that's how he built his business. And then through word of mouth and knowing people and people hearing about other people, he found Scott Mann, wrote Pineapple Express. I mean, it's just so fascinating how people find their passion. It's like sort of just like almost like dominoes are coming down just the right way. And, there's just like these people that kind of like stick themselves in those dominoes and kind of come in and weave their way in. So that's your story is the same way.
Well, I didn't expect to get actually accepted my application to the Hoover Institute, which, by the way, applications are opening up May 1st. And I hope if there are veterans that are listening or watching that they will consider applying or look into the Veteran Fellowship Program at Hoover Institution at Stanford University. They take 10 fellows a year. And if you just like a kind of a quick summary of it is,
tell me a little bit about the program.
Yeah. So it's a place for driven entrepreneurial change makers. You have to have a bold vision and the tenacity to do hard work, the hard work needed for social impact, policy change for your community. So if that's your thing, then it's for you. If you're just going, it's not a degree producing, it's not residential. So we go there quarterly or we meet in DC at the Hoover office in DC sometimes, but it's wonderful. And I've really enjoyed all of my 9 fellows in the cohort. We become that's the best part is being part of a cohort. Although my battle buddy I'm assigned to is a Navy veteran. Teresa.
I know you can't get away from us. Yes.
I know.
I took a stand-up class at ASAP. I so appreciate you sharing part of your story. Do you have a YouTube channel? Of course, Robin has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, but it's terrible. But I'm getting ready to launch a podcast of my own. And also hiring someone to take all this content that I have on like a hard drive and cut it up and put it onto YouTube. It's just like literally gold sitting there. And I have not shared it with the world for a couple of reasons, because I was still wondering if this was going to all work out and whether or not I needed to go back into the civilian workplace. And I still may, I don't know. And I was just concerned that, what I put out there was going to be good.
Yeah.
So, or that it would be appreciated. So, but yeah, I'm about to do YouTube, but it's going to be much more focused on the healing aspects of humor than my comedy, but I love the comedy too.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what makes me different.
I'm like you, Robin. I love the advocacy, but then I love the thought leaders and the artists and the people like you too. Like I don't want to just do whistleblowers, although I love my whistleblowers and they're probably my car. I do. Whistle. No, seriously.
I'm gonna get you. I actually am ready. I am getting you a whistle for your retirement gift, and it's gonna be engraved. I'm writing it down right now.
Well, I would love it. It needs to have like a little S.O.S. like logo.
Oh my God, I'm doing it.
Because I'm actually an associate member now of Whistleblowers of America. So I'm actually going to be getting a legitimate like whistleblower email. Oh no. Jackie Garrick is amazing. She's a former social worker. I think she just got her doctorate and she's amazing educator and just wonderful healer as well, and is really into the peer-to-peer support. And Great. She and I have wonderful partnerships with all the people that are really truly running like the legitimate policy sides of whistleblowing. I would say Jackie's more peer-to-peer and resources and webinars, and then Walk the Talk Foundation. Got to give them their props. They have really they're amazing. Another organization that is up on the up and up, and they're providing counseling and feedback and consultations with people. Is for people that don't want to maybe hire a lawyer, but just want to consult on these issues.
You need to be a Hoover Fellow. I'm just saying, I know you're getting ready to start your degree. What are you going for, master's or PhD?
I am going for a master's. I don't want to say where yet. Just, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm going for a master's program. I'm waiting to hear back about it. So
I think you can do both. Honestly, I feel like you could align that work to be beneficial with each other.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
Well, you have my word. I'm going to look into it and see.
You can always apply and just see.
Yeah. Just see what they say. I guess.
You'd be great.
Well, thank you.
You're making change in the world. And that's what they're looking for, is people who are actually doing something, not just talking about doing something, but doing something. I appreciate that you're bringing up these other organizations that are doing great things. I love that. And you asked me why I switched or pivoted from comedy to this. But I went back to comedy a little bit. Like you'll still see me dabble in it, right? Here's the thing. I want to be different. I don't want to be just another mental health advocate, another speaker.
Me too.
I want to be in that niche of like a veteran, a combat veteran, and also funny, but also has the academic, and the research to science to back it up.
Yeah.
And then you really help people that way. So I'm really trying to focus on healthcare providers right now. There's so much burnout with nurses and doctors. So that's my next mission. I've worked with veterans a lot. I still work with veterans, but I'm starting to broaden my scope to reach other demographics that need help.
I love it.
And after I get healthcare, I'm going to youth and teens because I got a teenager and I'll tell you, they're a hot mess.
Well, and I mean, you could really be doing a lot with like foster care services and going into some of those types of facilities.
My kids are about to go to foster care.
And group homes. I mean, those are all places that I think could use a lot of help. I mean, even like I follow a little bit with what Paris Hilton has done with the troubled teen industry. And that just sounds like a cause. Awesome. Well, she's amazing. I mean,
people don't give her enough credit.
No, they don't. I watched her documentary and I was so impressed by her. And in fact, I thought there was a lot more to her relationship with her mother and her sister than what that documentary could show and what I think she felt comfortable talking about. And I was in awe of her advocacy and her growth and her resilience. And I'm a Paris fan. I'll admit it. And so, and I don't think she's frivolous or anything. I think she does what she does to draw attention to her brand and her influencing. But I believe that behind it, there's this need to make her world better and to take the experiences that she's had and use them as a channel for growth, which is what we all should do. I mean, we all have things that we've been through. And I've said this before, like take what you do and use it for good. Take those painful experiences, turn them around and use them to make the world a better place. I mean, that's what we all should be doing. So I love hearing about that. And are you going forward? Do you think to come back to comedy, do comedy sometimes as it comes up and then also pivot and then do more of the business work? Or how do you see this going forward?
I think I have to do both. And here's why. Not for me, not for my own fulfillment, but here's why. Doing comedy, when you do comedy, your sets have to be tight. They call it a tight 5 or a tight set. They've got to be on point. There's not filler words. You're just boom, boom. It's set up, punchline. You have to read the room. You have to be able to pivot. It's almost like improv. It's not improv, but you've got to be a lot faster on your feet and stand up. And it's also so scary. Okay. Doing speaking for me, when I go to do comedy, I have to be funny. There's an expectation. Someone bought a ticket and they're like,
yes.
Maybe laugh. But if I go into a conference and I speak and I'm funny, they're like, oh my God, it's so great. And you're like, it's the same joke I told last night in a comedy club, but they're not expecting you to be funny and they didn't pay for you to be funny. A little bit interesting. Also, too, usually in the comedy club, people are relaxed. It's darker. They're off work. When I'm doing my speaking, they're in a professional setting. They're sober. I mean, it's 9 a.m. I just did a group of teachers in Maine on Friday, 9 a.m. I mean, they're sober, I think, except maybe 2 of them. I think 2 of them may have not had coffee, had some Baileys and a coffee, but I'm not telling on them. I will not mention names because they paid me well. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's totally different. But when you get to bring comedy into speaking, people are like, oh my gosh, they're
just not expecting it.
Fun. Yeah, they're just like, that was fun. So I like surprising people. I like them expecting me to be like, blah, blah, blah. Look at my PowerPoint, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then when I have them almost peeing themselves, it's like, yes. If I get one person to pee themselves or, snort, I love a good snort. That's great. That's game over for me. The other piece is for comedy. So comedy makes me better at speaking. Speaking makes me better at comedy.
Yeah, they complement each other.
Yeah, except for my comedy does get a little looser when I'm doing speaking. I'm not as tight in my delivery
Mm-hmm.
because I'm so used to speaking and doing a 45-minute to an hour talk. And then like I did a 20-minute set on Friday, and it could have been tighter. And I know that I got a little yappy yappy. I will say that talk on Maine was a group of teachers, and the talk was going well. They were laughing. We were having a good time. At 10 minutes before the end of my session, right before Q&A, a bunch of their phones started to go off with that emergency sound, that you hear on your
Mm-hmm.
phone when there's something. And the high school nearby was on lockdown because of an active shooter. And it wasn't actively shooting it. There was a man who was detained who had a weapon, but we don't know what his intent. I don't know what ended up. But anyway, it was very scary. One, they're teachers in the school system. Two, many of them had kids in that school. So
Wow.
it was like just, and so I had to pivot at that moment. My original plan was the last few minutes, I was just going to do some more comedy,
Right.
close them out with some jokes. And I was like, no, that's not appropriate right now.
No.
What we're going to talk about is what combat's like, and they're on the front lines and what they need to do right now in that moment, and how they gather themselves together and come together as a team like we would do in our units, and we would focus on the mission at hand. And so it was very touching for me because I felt like it was making a difference, and I felt like it left them in a little bit better of a place. But gosh darn.
That's a tough call. And that takes
Yeah.
a lot of emotional intelligence to pivot like that, because we just watched a video. Keegan Dunlap is a social media influencer on Instagram, and he just shared a very interesting clip from a reporter who was talking to his co-reporter, and the co-reporter on camera fainted. And you can see it in the Instagram
Huh.
clip. And then the camera goes back to him, and he just continues on like nothing happened. And we were like, people on the internet were like, why didn't he just stop? And so there was like debate about whether or not he should have just been a human and just said, okay, guys, even though it's live, I'm going to go off the screen, and I'm going to check on this lady. And some people were like, no, professionally, he's trained not to do that. I'm like, well, I don't give a shit what he's trained to do. He should have just been a human in the moment. And so
well, let me ask you this. If we were receiving hostile fire and the person next to you shot in the head, and you've got to return fire to save everybody, like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
What if you're the 50 cal gunner? You got to keep firing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
it's a tough one. It is.
But to be fair, a news thing is not.
I mean, she fainted. She fainted. And I'm sure there were medical people right next that were running up to her off camera.
Yeah.
I think that if I had been him, I would have said, all right, guys, I'm going to stay on camera because I can see to my right here. There's some paramedics. There's some medical assistants coming to make sure that she's okay. Let's keep her in your thoughts and in your thoughts and prayers during this moment. I just feel like he could have said something to the audience to acknowledge what had just happened.
There's no way paramedics were there that fast. He should have
Well,
went off camera and treated his coworker.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
I said the other thing to be joking, and I shouldn't have. I have a horrible time. But no, I mean, come on. What was he talking about? Like,
I know, like what was so important in that moment that he couldn't stop what he was doing. And I know, I don't know. It was a very
a good
interesting
producer
clip.
could have cut to a commercial or did something.
Yeah. No, it was quite strange. So yeah, we have a couple people who are joining tonight. John, I see some of your comments, and he was saying, "Oh, not create a." Hold on, he said, "I taught math for 23 years, and I always tried to use my humor in the math classroom. I told corny dad jokes, etc." I mean, that's what you do. It's what you do. I mean, yeah.
My microphone is acting like one of my exes.
Going in and out, in and out, in and out. I guess I shouldn't say that. That was bad. I just realized what that could mean. Never.
That's hilarious. We are so funny together.
Well, Rob,
we should not be left alone unsupervised.
We should not. I remember I told you that when we met at the Sea Service Leadership Association.
Yes.
The moment I met you, I was like, "Oh, she's one of my people." I see.
Yeah. I was like, we're going to get in trouble.
Well, it's like that. Like I said, it's like that with certain guests that I have too. I'll just know like immediately, and sometimes I'm really surprised by it. Like it's somebody that I really haven't had a lot of interaction with, let's say before the call, and then we get on the call and on the podcast, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's definitely some chemistry. Like just getting along and just being able to see eye to eye on things. So, tell me a little bit about what your family, how they have reacted to your comedy and your career, because this is not a conventional thing for a military retiree or a, military spouse to do. Cause I know your husband's also military. So I'm wondering how they have reacted to all this.
Really well. I mean, I try to balance things as best I can. I'm lucky that my husband is a stay-at-home dad. He works 2 months out of the year.
Mhm.
Like 2 months, and then he's done. So 10 months he is able to pick up all of the duties, and so that really works for us. My daughter, maybe it was a week ago, she heard an advertisement about my show that was here local on the radio, and she was like, "Mommy, you were just on the radio," and I was like, "I know, right?" I didn't even know that. I didn't even know there was an ad. I didn't put the ad out. The venue did it, so I didn't even know it was there. And my son, he doesn't really. I don't even think he knows what I do.
Right.
Pretty sure he does. He knows. But I try to take them with me. They're going to go with me. I have a gig up in New York. End of this month, we're all going to do like 4 days in New York. I'm going to take my daughter to Boston when I go for Women's Veterans Day to speak in Boston.
Have you ever been on stage with you?
They've not ever performed on stage with me. My son has been backstage. When I was on tour, Southern Mama Tour, which was a really fun tour. That was great. We had big venues, like 2,000 people. And my son came with me to one of those shows. And I had this giant green room all to myself with like a video arcade game in it. And he was like, "Do you always get this? Like you get a video game in your room?" And he was like, and he like was FaceTiming his friends showing off that his mom had a green. I was like, "No, not usually. Usually I'm like in a really small green room with it smells like cigarette smoke and piss." But yes. And it was cool that I had the one. I mean, he came to the one where I actually had a nice green room.
Have you ever had technical problems on stage where the mic goes out or the thing you're pointing to isn't there anymore? How do you adjust to that?
Well, that's the thing that's why I said I need to keep doing comedy to be the best speaker I can be, because if you can do comedy, you can do anything. Mm-hmm. And you can react really quickly to things that don't happen or that are not working right.
Supposed to happen.
Oh, yeah. I got to tell you the funniest story.
Oh, tell me.
Okay. So I just did this conference in Charlotte like a week ago, I think, maybe. Anyway, recently. And the night before, they had this reception, and all these people at the conference were asking me the same question. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to change the end of my presentation, and I'm going to focus on that question and explain it so that all the people can hear, because it seems to be a very popular question. Okay. So mind you, we've had a reception, which Tracy, you know me. Okay, I've had a couple cocktails. And by a couple, I mean 4. And and we 2 squared. Okay. So
just a couple.
I know. I was trying to, you know what? I was doing good by the people who couldn't drink because of health reasons, and they were giving me their drink tickets. And who am I to let them have that temptation? Charitable.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did the slides that night, and I switched out my slides, and the next day did the presentation, and on the slide that I switched out was a typo. And we get to Q&A, and people are asking normal Q&A questions. And then this guy says, "Yeah, could you go back a slide?" "No, another slide." So I do, because I'm like thinking he has a question about the slide. Yeah, he's like, "You have a typo on your slide." And I'm thinking, what is wrong with you? Like, you couldn't wait until after I'm done speaking to pull me off and say, "Hey, just so you know, that slide is a typo. Right. You might want to fix it." No, you want to say this in front of 500 people and embarrass me? Like, that's what you want to do? I go, "Dad, I told you don't have to come to all of my events."
That's awesome.
Because it's like, what? Who does that? Anyway,
Somebody who's very self-righteous and somebody who needs to be right and needs to correct to feel good about themselves, I suppose. Good. I'm glad you called that person out. That's so silly. So silly. Now, I mean, if they need clarification on something, or if you said something and they misunderstood you or something like that, okay, got it. But
right. He did come up and apologize to me afterwards. And I was like, that's a really awkward way to try to get my number. And by the way, I'm married, but whatever.
Oh man. So where can people find you? I want to give them a little bit more information. Like where are the best way, best links, best places to see you?
RobinPhoenixJohnson.com is my website. Phoenix, like the city. And then at comedian Robin Phoenix on Facebook, at Robin Phoenix Johnson on Instagram, and then Robin Phoenix Johnson on LinkedIn. So I'm in all. I don't do a lot on TikTok, but I'm gonna finally get there. It was like TikTok, OnlyFans, TikTok.
I know that's a really hard decision.
I don't have it.
I agree. I've
my
never
feet are not that
thought
cute. I can't do it.
No. But it's interesting, all the people that are getting into OnlyFans. Speaking of that, like there's like Denise Richards. Have you heard about that? Like she's yes. She's like the she's from that Housewives show, but then she was an actress. Yeah. So her and her daughter are both on OnlyFans. Yeah.
Okay, I don't even want to know.
I kid you not. I don't know why I know these things. I probably shouldn't know these things, but I do because I sometimes have a guilty pleasure for following really people that I shouldn't follow or watching. I was watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians the other day, and I was laying in bed. I was being lazy and I didn't want to think. And I'm like, what can I watch where I have to give no brain cells to? Oh, Hulu, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So I'm watching it for a little while, and I turn over to my husband, and after a while, I'm like, I hope he doesn't really hear what they're talking about because it's so pointless and it's this staged reality bullshit. You know, it's so bad, but it's just entertaining, whatever. And then he finally looks over at me and he's like, what in the world are you listening to? Like, it was just, he like, it was so like, funny. It was like a mind blow. Like, what is this?
It's
like, he was so confused. That this was something that I was listening to. I mean, now mind you, I listen to Jeffrey Dahmer, true crime, all this other like really dark crap, and he doesn't question any of that. Like he understands that. But the moment
that is so, I'm gonna steal that from you. That is so brilliant.
I mean,
because he should be worried about the true crime. He really should. Because you know, like 50 ways to murder him at this point,
right? But the fact that I was listening to some like rapid, plastic surgery person on, and with millions of followers, I guess was enough for him to just give me this confused and dumbfounded look.
I love it. I love that. I love it. So you're a fur baby mom, right?
I am. I have one boxer, and yes, I was told Happy Mother's Day. No, I went to church yesterday and passed out, unfortunately, because I had, hot flash. Yeah, in the middle of church. It was horrible. I was in the back of pew of the front row, and I had to stand up in front of everybody in my dress and go to the bathroom, and I don't know anybody at this church yet. So I went into a stall. I sat on the floor of the stall. I'm sweating profusely. And they're like, what's wrong? And I felt like I was going to die. And I said, I'll be fine.
Oh my God.
And they handed me a wet towel and I stayed there for 10 minutes and then just walked back into the church as though nothing happened.
Hate hot flashes. People do not understand. If you have not experienced it, I'm getting them now and it's horrible.
They're the worst.
You're on fire.
Mm-hmm. And they're absolutely awful.
Yeah. My husband
I just had no
day for Mother's Day.
A what?
The problem is a bidet. I got a bidet for Mother. It's really for him. He always buys stuff that's like, this is for you, honey. And I'm like, really? Because it feels like you spend more time in there than I do.
Yeah. My husband's done that a couple times. He's bought me like tools and other things. And I'm like, I'm not going to mess with this tool. I'm not going to try to fix this thing with this thing. No, this is your gift.
I'm not complaining though. I really like it. But the problem is the seat's heated, which is nice. But like when you're hot, you don't want to be hotter.
No, especially when you're having one of those flashes. You don't want to be dealing with that at all.
Also, I have a tiny bladder and I have to pee every night. So I get up 3 a.m. always to pee, right? And it's got lights. It's got like a little light show. The seat's heated. It's squirting water all over you. And like you're wide awake by the time you get done. Like I'm like, it's counterproductive. I mean, it's fine during the day, but at nighttime, go out into the hallway and use the hallway bathroom because I don't want that kind of experience at 3 a.m.
Yeah. No, I
If
hear
I
you.
wanted that, I'd roll over and ask my husband for something, but you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Oh, see, our conversation has just, I wouldn't say
I know we get
evolved.
ourselves in
Evolved.
trouble. But these are
Evolved.
honest. This is what being authentic and honest and real people are. Sometimes people are like too uptight. You're like, oh, can't believe they said that. I'm like, this is real life. This is what real people talk about. These
Yeah.
are great topics. And you know,
And they're the real things that people go through. And like I said, it was weird because I realized that even saying the word "I'm having a hot flash" was just a weird thing to say. Like you just don't hear people talking about it.
Really?
And
I think it's coming. Oprah and Mel Robbins, all of them are talking about it now. It's a
are
big
they?
movement now.
Okay.
Yes, it's
Oh,
big now.
okay. I'm not in those spaces, so I didn't.
It just started in like the last like maybe 6 months. It started to be a really big buzz about it. All these celebrities are working together to bring awareness about it.
That's good. That's actually really good because it's something that like I told my husband, I said, if I was driving and this were to happen, like I'd be afraid that like if I didn't catch it in time, like something could happen. Luckily, I mean, it comes on slowly enough for you to like go somewhere and just and thank God I knew what it was, because if I didn't understand what it was or I know anything, I'd probably think that I was like I was passing out, like I was gonna faint.
I'm gonna. What kind of, you have an iPhone or what kind of phone do you have?
I have a iPhone.
With a USB or Apple connector?
The new one. So
The USB. Okay.
yeah.
The reason I ask is because you know what I have? I have a little fan that plugs in the bottom of my phone for those emergencies.
Oh, that's
It has a US adapter and it's a fan. And also I have the neck fan too.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good.
You have one, right? I'm gonna send you one. You give me your address and I'll send you one. I'm gonna send you a whole hot flash kit, girl. We're gonna be hot in here together.
I hear you. I was telling Harry, I said, like, we need to like have like education about this. I mean, just like I saw somebody the other day today on Instagram. She's Mama on the Run. She's a
yeah, I was stationed with her. Erin.
You were? Yeah.
I love her.
No. Alexis Travis.
No,
she's a Navy. Yeah, Navy Supply Corps officer.
Dang, I mixed up. Maybe I mixed it up, but maybe that's Mill Mama. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
also follow her.
She posted about the way women really look on the ship, and it was so good. I shared it into my stories. And it's really good. It's in my Instagram stories. And she's talking about like how your hair, because you got to wear it in a bun, is all torn. You've got like zits on your face. You're sweaty. And she's like, that's not what anyone ever sees. Like all these like military influencers, they're all like done up. They're all so pretty. But if they really want to see what we look like while we're on the ship, like that's how we really look. And so I was like, I can relate, having been.
Oh, I know that chin strap on the helmet. I have so many scars from all the acne from wearing that chin strap and helmet for so many years. It's like right here because it has that piece here and then right there.
Yeah. But anyway,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, it has been amazing talking to you as always.
We're gonna talk after this. Let's let them go and let's have real talk.
I know, right?
I'll go pour a beverage and we'll have girl talk.
Yep, I hear you. Let's do it. Okay, so I will go full screen. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It was wonderful having you, as it always is, and it's a nice little break from my typical, mostly sometimes serious shows. It always depends. Always depends. Every show is a little bit different. But thank you so much for coming on the show, and I will go full screen. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. This week is a busy podcast week, so. On Wednesday, I will be having Bill Brown and Katie Papa on the show, and they are in the process of working together to appeal to the SecNav for a workplace complaint that has unfortunately not been resolved. And we are going to go on the show and talk about all the ways that you can seek military redress. And then I have another very serious show on Thursday where I will be talking to Lauren, and I will get her last name and put it out. Sorry, Lauren, I forget, but we've been talking back and forth about your case in regards to the Ferris Doctrine. And unfortunately, having a C-section that was performed improperly or gone wrong, and just some of the lasting effects from that surgery. So again, I'm not giving justice to either one of these shows right now. You'll see the show description in the next couple days, but thank you as always for following us on the Stories of Service podcast. I do this out of a love of service and a passion project. And I thank you all for taking the time to join us tonight. As I always close out these calls, please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye now.